Chapter 1, 7 months pregnant. Her body was burning with heat as strong as volcanic lava, and the only one who could save her, was the man before her. She clung tightly to the cold marble-like skin, her survival instinct eventually making her give up all resistance. Pain was accompanied by pleasure slowly rising bit by bit, like a firework display going off in her mind, making her feel like she was a lone boat in a sea of fire. Rising, then sinking, it was hard for her to free herself. "Hey, wake up! It's cold here, don't catch a cold." The pressure on her shoulders caused Ning Xi to wake up abruptly, her disoriented gaze met with the concerned eyes of the nurse. In an instant, her guilty conscience made her face blush, she wished she could crawl into a hole in the ground as she avoided the nurse's gaze in shame. Damn, although it has already been such a long time after that one drunken night, that hot night she had with Suyan kept appearing in her dreams from time to time. Thanks to being drunk to the point of unconsciousness, she did not have much memory of that night, otherwise she would not know how to face Yang Gaig. The nurse saw that she had finally woken up, and passed the papers in her hands to her. "You forgot to take your pregnancy health results, Dr. Zhang would like you to come again next week." Ning Xi received the report, smiled sweetly, and carefully placed the papers in her own purse. Suyan was still studying overseas, he was coming back tonight. Thinking of the meeting tonight, Ning Xi unconsciously tensed up. Because the area Suyan was at was too inaccessible, it was only until the child was more than 7 months old that she finally contacted him. Thinking of the shock that Suyan had when he found out she was pregnant, Ning Xi was a little nervous. Was it because she was particularly sensitive due to the pregnancy? Ning Xi felt that Suyan was not as happy as she was about this. The doctor reassured her saying that men were always like that with their first child, their mentality would take some time to change. But it couldn't be that, even regarding marriage, she would have to be the one to speak up. The sun was burning brightly in the sky when she came out of the hospital. Ning Xi struggled to support her waist, just as she was about to wave down a taxi, a dazzling red sports car rushed towards her. Ning Xi's heart thumped, and she retreated quite a few steps back. Only to hear a screeching sound from the brakes, as the red sports car just brushed over the edge of her clothes, before stopping abruptly. Pub Future ads. Ning Xi's heart almost stopped. After slowly regaining her footing, she saw a woman, wearing a body-hugging red dress, toss her wavy hair as she stepped down from the car. "Ning Suoluo, are you crazy?" Ning Suoluo looked at her, laughing with deep meaning. With crossed arms, as if strutting on the catwalk, she swayed as she walked until she stood in front of Ning Xi. Using the advantage of her high heels, she arrogantly looked down on the big-bellied Ning Xi. "What? Scared that I'll kill the bastard in your stomach?" Ning Xi subconsciously protected her abdomen, taking a step back, she looked at her warily. "Ning Suoluo, don't you go too far." Despite knowing that Ning Suoluo had always been at loggerheads with her, Ning Xi had not thought that she could speak such vicious words. "Going too far? You're the one who went too far. After getting drunk and doing it with some wild man and getting pregnant, then trying to make Suyan become the father, tisk tisk. Ning Xi, aren't you so shameless?" Ning Xi froze. "What nonsense are you saying? Hey, don't tell me you really believe that the man who slept with you that night was Suyan." Ning Suoluo laughed before leaning back, saying that you grew up with Suyan since you were kids with every other sentence, saying that you're childhood sweethearts, and you don't even know what his figure is like. Ning Xi grew paler as she listened. Despite standing under intense sunlight, her whole body felt cold. Yes, the man from that night. She had only thought Suyan was fitter than she had imagined after growing up. Now with Ning Suoluo's malicious reminder, she then suddenly recalled that, other than the body, the man from that night was indeed very different from Suyan. Chapter 2, A Stranger's Bastard. "I'll just tell it to you straight. That night you drank the wine that I added a little something to, and out of goodwill, I found 2 brawny men for you so that you could fully satisfy your desire. Who knew that you would be so insensible? You actually entered some wild man's room, and even unceremoniously." Ning Swalow's tone was full of disgust. "Yan Gege is too kind-hearted, he was afraid that you wouldn't be able to accept the truth, so he said that it was him that night." "You?" Ning Xi was trembling with anger, listening up to here, she could no longer hold back and grabbed Ning Swalow's wrist. "Why would you do that to me? Why? Haven't you harmed me enough?" Ning Swallow had her eyebrows raised in anger at first, and was about to push Ning Xi away, but she caught sight of Su Yan standing behind Ning Xi. She immediately softened her voice, showing off a delicate and pitiful expression. "Older sister, I know I was wrong. If you want to beat and scold someone, then do it towards me, don't blame Yan Gege." Ning Xi froze, and in the next second, she saw Ning Swallow suddenly fall to the ground. That pose was as if she had pushed her. "Ning Xi! What did you do?" A scolding voice sounded from behind her. Ning Xi turned in surprise, and saw Su Yan with a cold expression. Su Yan brushed past her, and supported Ning Swallow up. "Swallow, are you okay?" Ning Swallow was practically hanging her entire body on Su Yan. "Yan Gege, I didn't do it on purpose, I know I'm in the wrong. I'm the one who should be sorry to sister for causing all this." "That's enough, I'll settle everything." Su Yan patted Ning Swallow's shoulders, letting her enter the car. "I'll explain everything to Ning Xi." Ning Xi's mind was completely blank, she watched Su Yan walk towards her, and watched his mouth open and close. He talked for a long time. He spoke of their time together as childhood sweethearts, of his struggle when he fell in love with Ning Swallow, of his anger when he found out that Ning Swallow had plotted against her, of his shock and guilt when he found out that Ning Xi was pregnant. He spoke of how he had accepted Ning Swallow's apology. Finally, he said, "Ning Xi, I'm sorry, I can't marry you. It's not because of the matter of that night or this child, but it's because I can't let Swallow down, and I don't want to deceive myself and my feelings." These few months, he had been taking Ning Swallow with him overseas, and after getting along together day and night, it was even harder to separate. Even though he had admitted that he was the one who had relations with Ning Xi that night for the sake of covering up her pain, in his heart, he had already chosen Ning Swallow. So after knowing that Ning Xi was pregnant, he could not bear it any longer and immediately went to the Ning family to explain everything to their parents, and to reveal the truth to Ning Xi. Then, "Su Yan, you knew all along that it was Ning Swallow who drugged me to ruin my innocence? For the sake of protecting her, you told me that it was you that night." The Ning Xi that had finally recovered her voice, looked at the cool and calm Su Yan as if her soul had escaped from her body. "Ning Xi, Swallow did not do it on purpose, she's still young, and impulsive." "Then what about me?" Ning Xi raised her head to look at Su Yan, face full of despair. "Did you ever think of me, not even for a little bit?" Su Yan did not speak, and after a long while, he reached out to Ning Xi. "The sun is too bright here, let's go home first." "Don't touch me!" Ning Xi pushed away Su Yan's hands, and suddenly started laughing loudly. Pub Future Ads. Living up to now, Ning Xi felt that her life was like a joke. In order to live in the same city as Su Yan, she had put all her strength in her studies so she could get into B University. In order to please Su Yan, she had given her dream of acting. In order to match his upbringing and family background, she had abandoned her adoptive parents to return to the Ning family, clumsily trying to please those so-called distinguished figures. In the end, what she received in return was one sentence: "I can't let Swallow down." Ning Swallow had stolen not only her identity, and her biological parents, but now she had even stolen away her sweetheart. Ning Swallow was still young, so her mistakes could be forgiven? Then who would take responsibility for her life? She didn't even know who the man from that night was. Ning Xi covered her face, body shaking fiercely, she was already in the depths of despair. Su Yan watched Ning Xi walk towards the road unthinkingly, as if in a trance. He threw away the cigarette he was grasping between his fingers, and was about to chase after her, but was held back by Ning Xueluo, who held onto his sleeve from behind. "Yan Gaige, where are you going?" And in the instant Su Yan was hesitating, a loud noise rang out. Ning Xi, who had been walking on the zebra crossing, was thrown into the air, landing heavily on the ground. "Help! Help! A pregnant woman was hit!" In the glaring light, Ning Xi saw shaking silhouettes and the two faces that made her nauseous. The cramping pain that came from her belly caused her to lose consciousness bit by bit. She only blinked her eyes once, and the fresh blood on her forehead flowed into her eyes. The world fell into darkness. Chapter 3: The Little Boy in the Bar. 5 years later. In the Eden Bar, in a corridor on the empty top floor. Ning Xi had been drinking for the entire night to accompany some investors. With a splitting headache, she wanted to find somewhere clean and quiet to sober up, but she had not expected that Chong Li would follow her. She could only gather up her spirit to deal with her. "Sister Chong, is there something you want to say?" "Ning Xi, let me ask you, did you register to audition for the female lead in Land Under Heaven?" "Yes, why?" "You're not allowed to go tomorrow." Although Chong Li was her manager, she was stopping her from auditioning for this role that all the major entertainment companies were jostling for. Ning Xi was not at all surprised by this, and only raised her brows and asked, "Reason? You went behind my back and acted by yourself, and you still dare to ask me for the reason? Didn't you know that the company has already arranged for Ning Xueluo to audition? This doesn't seem to conflict with the company's arrangements." Ning Xi smiled faintly at her. "Ning Xueluo made you come find me? Don't tell me she's afraid that I, a small-time actress whose name isn't even known, will snatch her role. You think you have the ability to snatch Xueluo's role? You're still talking in your dreams. Let me tell you, don't waste your efforts. The Ning family has invested 30 million into this movie. Xueluo is already sitting securely in this role. Then why are you so anxious? Since you're my artist, you have to listen to my arrangements." Chong Li said as if that was how it ought to be. "Ha, so Sister Chong still knows that I'm an artist under you. Ning Xi, I don't have the time to bicker with you. Since you're refusing to comply, don't blame me for resorting to force." As she finished speaking, Ning Xi felt a strong blow from behind. Caught off guard, she was pushed into the storeroom in the corner, and her phone was also taken away. With a bang, the door was heavily shut. The footsteps outside the door slowly drifted away. Knowing that shouting was useless, Ning Xi kept silent. Leaning against the door, she slid down to the floor with an indifferent expression. When she had first entered the company, Ning Xueluo was still able to restrain herself, and only made Chong Li arrange for some villain roles for her at most. However, she was growing bolder and starting to go too far. She was even able to throw out such a low-level tactic. If she failed to get the role this time, then she had to find a way to leave Starlight Entertainment. Amidst her messy thoughts, a small sound travelled to her ears. Was there a mouse? Ning Xi followed the direction of the sound and looked over and was stunned. Pub Future ads. She saw a little boy behind a stack of boxes. That little guy looked to be about 4 or 5, he looked like a finely carved jade piece, white, soft, like a little bun. He was currently shivering and hiding in the corner, his dark eyes filled with precaution and vigilance. Why would there be a child in a storeroom of a bar? There shouldn't be a customer so crazy as to bring their child to a bar, right? Hey, little bun, who are you? How did you get in here? Did you sneak in? Were you also shut in here by someone? Do you eat sweets? After questioning him for half the day, the child remained silent, but started shaking even more, as if he were a frightened little beast. Finally, Ning Xi did not bother continuing to speak, it had nothing to do with her anyway. The two of them, adult and child, thus peacefully occupied a corner each. At this moment, the light bulb above them flashed brightly, then went out. In the darkness, Ning Xi vaguely heard a chattering sound. After carefully listening for a bit, she realized that it was similar to the sound of teeth chattering. Ning Xi laughed in spite of herself, and turned towards the little bun to say, "Scared of the dark?" The chattering sound paused for a second, before increasing in volume. Oh, how was he so cowardly? Ning Xi patted her bottom and stood up, then walked towards the little guy. Chapter 4, Saved a Little Bun. The little bun was so scared of her that his face went pale. However, Ning Xi just sat down next to the little bun and did nothing, immediately shutting her eyes and going to sleep. She had been pushed by Chong Li to accompany people and drink the whole night. She had a blinding headache right now. When Ning Xi finally woke up after a while, she felt that the side of her leg was warm. Lowering her head, she could see that at some point, the little bun had snuggled up to the side of her leg, and his little hand was even holding on to the corner of her shirt. Ning Xi could not help but laugh. Previously, when she was still in the countryside, she had owned a cat. It was particularly cowardly and afraid of people, and would run if it saw any person. However, as long as you did not notice it, it would let its guard down and feel like you were not a threat. Once that happened, it would sneakily snuggle up to your side by itself, even climbing into your lap to sleep. The little bun seemed to have felt her gaze, his little face blushed a bit, but this time, there was no more panic in his eyes. Instead, his big eyes were filled with curiosity. He was really just like a little pet cat, even his eyes were the same. Ning Xi's lips curved up, her hands were itching to pet him. She gave up on resisting and reached out to pet that adorable fluffy little head. With that one touch, her face immediately changed. Why was his forehead this hot? You're having a fever. Chong Li would keep her locked up until the audition was over tomorrow, at the very least. If the child continued burning for that long, it would be too dangerous. While getting anxious over the time, she found that something was not right. The light bulb had blown. Why was there still light in the room? Raising her head, she saw that there was a small skylight, and light was falling from that small window. Ning Xi looked around the storeroom, and finally moved a ladder over. "Little bun, come over, I'll help you get out." The little guy finally showed a response to her words, but he shook his head with a resolute gaze. Ning Xi understood his meaning, but smiled and pinched his cheeks. "You're quite loyal after all, you want to suffer together with me? Go up, this window is too small, I can't get out. If you get out first, you can find someone to come save me." Seeing that the little guy was still hesitating, Ning Xi carried him and placed him on the ladder. "Quickly, if you're a man, then don't hesitate. I'll protect you from the bottom." Pub Future Ads. After finally sending the child out with much difficulty, Ning Xi felt a wave of dizziness. She lost control of her legs, and fell from the ladder in one movement. From the edge of the window, the little bun saw this scene, and panic rose up on the previously dull and lifeless little face. Ning Xi held on to the last bits of her strength and said one word, "Go." Under the light of the stars, the woman's face was pale and fragile, but that did not obscure her startling beauty. Especially that pair of moist and lively eyes, that were like a sea filled with endless stars. She was no longer the ignorant countryside girl and ugly duckling. However, what use was that now? Ning Xi smiled bitterly. Before she had her revenge, she would fall to her death here. However, before dying, at least she had done a good deed in saving the little bun. If her child had not died back then, he would probably be around this age. After the car accident 5 years ago, in shame, the Ning family had sent her away to a university specializing in accepting wayward children of the elite in America, leaving her to fend for herself. She withdrew from that university and reapplied for the University of South California, almost going crazy in her pursuit of all kinds of knowledge. Because she wanted to defeat Ning Swallow, and take back everything that was hers. Most importantly, acting was the biggest dream of her life. After returning to her homeland, using this face and a solid foundation of acting skill, she was spotted by Chong Li, and successfully entered the industry's largest company, Starlight Entertainment. She should have had a bright future from then, but Ning Xueluo followed her into Starlight, and through bribing Chong Li, was suppressing her from all directions. Chapter 5, We Found Little Young Master. At the same time, in the reception room of the Eden Bar, the atmosphere was heavy. The boss of the bar, the managers, security and all related staff were standing in a row with great trepidation. All of them had expressions showing that disaster was about to fall upon them. Because the Lu Corporation's little prince, Lu Tingxiao's precious son, had gone missing in their bar. On the sofa, Lu Tingxiao's face was chilly as always, not a single shred of extra feeling was showing on that ice statue. However, the pressure of a superior was pressing on each person present, causing their legs to soften and their sweat to fall like the rain. No one dared to utter a single word. A young man was kneeling by his feet, face full of tears and snot. "Brother, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have brought Little Treasure to a bar. If anything happens to Little Treasure, then I won't live any longer." As he finished speaking, a kick was thrown at his chest. The sound of bone breaking made their scalps tingle. Everyone present shook a little. Lu Jingli clutched at his chest and coughed fiercely for a while, before immediately crawling back up and kneeling with a straight back again. Their parents were still overseas on holiday, and have not heard that Little Treasure was lost. If they were to find out, then it would not be settled with a simple kick from his older brother, he could even be flayed alive. Lu Jingli's heart was currently like dead ashes, completely ashamed. Suddenly, a knock sounded on the door of the reception room. The boss, who was the closest to the door, opened it. Seeing that there was no one at the door, he was still wondering about it when he bent his head, and was stunned. Little young master. Little Treasure? Heavens! Little Treasure! Second uncle's precious baby! Where did you run off to? Lu Jingli crawled up from the ground to embrace the little guy tightly. He was so emotional that he burst into tears. Everyone in the room held an expression of having survived death. Lu Tingxiao walked a few steps to the door, then grabbed Lu Jingli's collar to throw him away. He squatted down in front of his son. What happened? After finally getting out of the clutches of his second uncle, Little Treasure grabbed onto Lu Tingxiao's hand, anxiously trying to tug him outside. Just as Lu Tingxiao got closer to his son, he smelled the strong scent of alcohol from his body. There was also a hint of a subtle fragrance, not the pungent smell of a perfume, but more like a flower that had bloomed on a glacier. The cool fragrance was inexplicably familiar to him, to the point that his heart skipped a beat for a moment. Seeing that Lu Tingxiao was not moving, Little Treasure pointed in a certain direction, anxiously making hoarse ha-ha sounds from his throat. Lu Tingxiao picked up his son, and headed straight in the direction that his son was pointing in. The people behind him, including Lu Jingli, saw that something was up and exchanged gazes before following. Pub Future Ads. 5 minutes later, the group of people stopped in front of a storeroom on the top floor. Little Treasure twisted his body and dropped down from his father's body, and beat at the storeroom's door with all his strength, looking extremely anxious. Little Treasure, what's happening? What's inside? Lu Jingli was confused. Lu Tingxiao ordered expressionlessly, open the door. Yes, yes, yes. The boss of the bar nodded his head, then turned to scold the female manager at his side. Manager Yat, what are you waiting for? Quickly open the door. Where's the key? Ah! Oh, open the door. The female manager was stunned. Oh no! That woman, Ning Xi, was still locked in there. She promised Chong Li to keep her at least until the audition was over. However, with these two gods from the Lu family and the boss waiting, how could she possibly refuse? She could only tremble and pull out the key to open the door. Once the door was opened, a woman lying unconscious on the floor came into view. What's going on? Why is there a woman in there? The boss raged. I don't know. There wasn't anyone in there when I last checked. The female manager suppressed the guilt in her heart and explained. Quickly. Just save that person first. Just as someone attempted to get close to Ning Xi, Little Treasure immediately threw himself onto Ning Xi's body. His little face held a ferocious expression, not letting anyone near. Chapter 6, The Sparkling Little Prince. President Liu, the owner of the bar, had a face full of bewilderment, and was failing to understand the current situation. Liu Tingxiao's gaze swept across the female manager, whose face was completely showing her guilt. He then swept an eye across the ladder on the ground and the skylight that was only about the size of a small child, and was able to guess most of what had happened. He raised his hand to let everyone retreat, then he walked over and personally picked the woman up. That faintly cool fragrance was even more distinct in his embrace. Seeing that Liu Tingxiao had already gone over to carry the woman, Little Treasure did not stop him, but his face showed his unwillingness. He showed an expression that spoke of his inner thoughts. If I wasn't too small, I would definitely have carried her myself. The First People's Hospital in Beijing. By the time Ning Xi woke up, it was already the next morning. The first thing she saw when she opened her eyes was the man sitting in the chair at the window opposite her. His slender legs crossed carelessly, he was wearing a fitted tailored suit outlining his broad shoulders and slim waist, with the white shirt buttons meticulously fastened up to his collar. Although he was clearly under the morning sunlight, his body seemed to be cloaked in a layer of ancient everlasting ice. His indifferent expression was like that of a king in a medieval castle. The man seemed to have detected her gaze, and abruptly lifted that pair of ocean-deep eyes. His cold gaze seemed to pierce right through her. That line of sight was too aggressive, like a sharpened scalpel, peeling her open inch by inch, giving her the creeps. After trying to ignore him for a while, Ning Xi could no longer care about how uncomfortable this stranger's gaze made her feel. She asked with an anxious expression, "Excuse me, mister, how did I get here? Did you see a little boy? About 4 or 5 years old, doesn't really like to talk? He's really white and soft, and looks a little dazed and cute." Cute. The man slightly raised his brow from Ning Xi's description, he shifted his gaze to her right, and spoke with a voice as cold as his person, "You mean Little Treasure?" Ning Xi quickly followed the ice statue man's line of sight, only to see a white, soft little bun sleeping soundly on the little cot next to hers with an four attached to the back of his hand. "Yes, it's him. He's called Little Treasure." Ning Xi finally let out a sigh of relief, and turned over to touch the little bun's forehead. At least his fever had already broken. She had started to regret a little after letting the child out previously. The child was so young after all, and he was even running a fever. What if something had happened to him after he had gone out alone into a place as messy as a bar? Pub Future ads. Ning Xi looked towards the ice statue man, who had a formidable atmosphere around him. "You're this child's." After speaking those words, Ning Xi found that she had just wasted her breath. This man and the little bun were so alike, it was as if they had been carved out of the same mold. They were definitely biologically father and son. "Sure enough," Ice Statue replied, "Father." "Hey, little beauty, you're awake. I'm Little Treasure's second uncle." A large face suddenly popped over from the side, and Ning Xi subconsciously retreated a little. After looking clearly at the man's face, she went into a daze. Liu Jingli. The Liu Corporation's second son, the owner of Golden Age Entertainment, had appeared in more newspapers and magazines than most artistes due to his eye-catching appearance and amorous personality. She absolutely could not make a mistake in recognizing this face. Ice Statue was Little Treasure's father, Liu Jingli was Little Treasure's second uncle. Then wasn't Ice Statue Liu Jingli's older brother Liu Tingxiao? Liu Tingxiao, the god of wealth as termed by the people, he was like the uncrowned emperor of the capital. She could never have imagined that the little boy she had saved, would turn out to be Lu Tingxiao's legendary bastard son, the golden sparkling little prince. Chapter 7, Big Bun wants to repay with his body. Lu Tingxiao sized up the woman on the bed probingly, as if he was trying to tell if the expression of surprise on her face was real. After a long while, it seemed as if he finally believed that she had not known of Little Treasure's identity. He then spoke up coolly, "Your request." What request?" Ning Xi did not understand the words that had appeared out of nowhere. "My brother wants to thank you for saving Little Treasure, he's asking you to state your request." Lu Jingli had the expression "you struck gold" this time written all over his face. Hearing this, the gears in Ning Xi's head spun quickly as she cautiously said, "You really don't need to thank me. It's true that I saved Little Treasure, but he also saved me. If it weren't for Little Treasure going out to call for help, then I would still be shut in there right now, so we can be considered even." Although she was really lucky to have saved the little prince, how could she dare to claim a reward for it? The more money someone had, the more prone they were to paranoid delusions of being schemed against. Furthermore, this was the super-rich, top-class elite Lu family they were talking about. It was already amazing that they were not suspecting her of directing the whole incident. Didn't you see how warily Lu Tingxiao had been looking at her just now? To avoid extra suffering later on, it was best to even out the relations between them. Ning Xi had thought that there was no issue with her answer, but Lu Tingxiao's expression remained displeased, causing a burst of fright in her heart. Did she say something wrong? Why was his expression so scary? "Brother, don't put on such a scary expression. We know you're trying to repay a debt of gratitude, but those who know nothing about the situation will think you're trying to take revenge." Lu Jingli could not bear seeing a beauty suffering fright, so he spoke up to break the ice. He then turned to Ning Xi and said, "My brother doesn't like to owe others, you should just request something. No need to be polite. There were even people that would force others into bringing up a request." The corner of her mouth twitched. "It's not that I'm being polite, you really don't need to repay me. What I said was the truth, if you don't believe me, you can go check." "No need." Lu Tingxiao spoke simply and to the point. His face was starting to show hints of impatience. Lu Jingli spoke up, "There was surveillance footage of the bar's storeroom. I've already seen it, Little Treasure ran in on his own. As for you, the manager of the bar has already admitted that she was the one who locked you in, so you don't need to worry, we don't suspect your intentions. Since you did save Little Treasure, just ask for something." "Great, we're right back where we started." In the end, Ning Xi had no other choice. Under Lu Tingxiao's increasingly forceful gaze, she summoned up her courage to say, "Then, how about you give me money? The rich like to resolve debts in this simple and straightforward manner, right? Lu Tingxiao should also be the type to like solving problems with money." Pub Future ads. If she didn't ask for money, then wouldn't they think that she was eyeing something else? If not money, then people? Just as Ning Xi was assured that this was the most appropriate request she could put forward, Lu Tingxiao's expression became even uglier. Ning Xi was on the verge of tears. Why did he have to be so taciturn? If you have something to say, just say it out. Would speaking a few more words kill you? Lu Jingli, the translating machine, rubbed his nose. "My brother thinks that just giving you money would be too insulting." Ning Xi was howling in her heart, "It's okay. Just insult me." The Lu family's status was too special and she just could not think of an appropriate request at the moment. Just as they were about to come to a deadlock, Lu Tingxiao spoke up. "Marry me." Ning Xi went completely lifeless for a second, before coughing fiercely, almost choking to death on her own spit. "Cough cough cough, what did you say?" After finally managing to stop her coughing, she hurriedly turned towards Lu Jingli with intensity. "Second young master, please translate." However, this time it was not only Ning Xi, but also Liu Jingli who was completely dazed. Brother, what do you mean? I can't even translate for you this time. At this moment, good fortune arrived and a light bulb went off in Ning Xi's head. She said falteringly, "Don't tell me you've decided to repay me with your body because I saved your son." Liu Tingxiao inclined his head slightly. After slight thought, he nodded, "You could put it that way." Chapter 8, Don't You Like Men? Translator, Henai. Ning Xi gulped and asked as her body trembled, "Is it because I saved your son that you've decided to repay me with your body?" Liu Tingxiao inclined his head slightly and thought about it before he nodded. "You could say that." Ning Xi felt like she was dreaming as she stared at the cold, expressionless face on the man before her. She held her forehead weakly. "Doctor, where's the doctor? I think I might have hit my head so hard that my brain is not working properly. I'm hallucinating." On the side, Liu Jingli's expression was guileless. "I didn't hit my head, did my brain break down too?" At this very moment, Ning Xi simply could not accept the reality before her. She had saved little treasure, so now his father wanted to repay her with his body? If this was anyone else, that would have been fine. If it was someone just a bit handsome, then it could be considered a lucky romantic encounter. But this person was Liu Tingxiao, Liu Tingxiao. When it came to looks, she was not bad, but Liu Tingxiao was the kind of beauty even the most gorgeous of women might have never seen before. If Liu Tingxiao only took her looks into consideration and wanted to fool around with her, that was understandable, but what he had said was, "Marry me." This made it very frightening. Most importantly, "Don't you like men?" Ning Xi blurted out. "Bahaha." Liu Jingli was laughing so hard, he fell over. Liu Tingxiao's face became black like the bottom of a pot, instantly filling the whole ward with a dark atmosphere. After a long time, Liu Jingli finally stopped laughing. "If my brother likes men, where did little treasure come from?" Surrogate pregnancy and artificial insemination. "If my brother likes men, why would he offer you his body? To cover up his true sexual orientation." "Ha ha 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 ha, brother, I really can't help you anymore. I also heard that the two of you are together." Ning Xi's meek gaze shifted between the two brothers. Cough cough cough. Liu Jingli was so startled, he choked. "Bullshit, those tastes are too heavy for me. Though, this young master is indeed very handsome, I could be both a lady killer and a man killer." At this time, a stormy person slowly rose from his chair, his long legs striding over towards Ning Xi. "Jingli, take little treasure out." "Ah? Brother, what are you going to do?" Pub Future ads. Liu Tingxiao fixed his sleeves languidly. "To prove my true sexual orientation to Miss Ning." Seeing his expression darken, with a gaze which looked as though he wanted to devour her whole, Ning Xi was so scared, she fell off the bed. She hid behind little treasure, and almost wanted to hide under the bed. "Mr. Liu, it has nothing to do with me, it's what other people are saying, I'm just repeating it. Also, you really don't have to thank me, but if you really want me to request something from you, then my request is that you don't ask me for a request again." "Ah, I'm sorry, I have a really important audition right now, so I'll be leaving first. If fate shall have it, let us meet again then." Ning Xi hastily finished speaking and was about to escape. But after having only taken a few steps, Liu Tingxiao said in a cold voice behind her, "Did I allow you to leave?" Ning Xi was so scared, her legs began to tremble. "My life is over." A few seconds later, under Ning Xi's ready-for-death gaze, Liu Tingxiao handed her a sheet of paper and a pen. "Could I trouble Miss Ning to write a note for little treasure, to prevent him worrying when he wakes up?" That's it?" Of course, no problem at all. I can even write 10,000 words and that wouldn't be a problem." Ning Xi breathed heavily with relief and picked up the pen to begin writing. After she was done writing, she immediately ran off in a frenzy. Watching her back as she left, the man's gaze turned contemplative, as though watching prey that had already been collared. After Ning Xi left, Liu Jingli sidled over to his brother and bounced up and down. "Brother, am I dreaming? Do you really like Ning Xi? After all these years, even a dull piece of metal like you can be carved into a fine needle. You've never once fancied a girl. Even I, your own brother, was beginning to wonder if you were bent." The moment the word bent came out, his older brother cut him off. "Shut up!" Liu Jingli choked. His belly was filled with gossip, and not being able to ask for the truth was really killing him. Chapter 9, I'm not here to try for the female lead. Original and most updated translations are from Volari Translations. Since it was the rush hour, traffic was especially bad. When Ning Xi arrived, she was already late. Changli and Ning Suoluo were smiling from ear to ear as they stepped out of the audition building. They were surrounded by a crowd that offered congratulations. Seeing Ning Xi from afar, sweating as she hurried to the building, Ning Suoluo looked at her with the same gaze from 5 years ago. It was the gaze of a deity looking down on an ant. A trail of dust was left behind as Ning Suoluo arrogantly left on her minivan. Ning Xi quickly ran into the building after seeing Ning Suoluo depart. It wasn't too late. Suddenly, Ning Xi ran into a group of people who were chatting cheerfully as they were walking. They were the panel judges for the Land Under Heaven auditions. "Sorry, I'm late." Ning Xi bowed deeply. Seeing that Ning Xi had blocked their path and interrupted them, a couple of the judges exchanged looks, clearly unhappy. No one liked people who were late. The assistant director kept a straight face. "The audition is already over. What's the point in rushing over here? Youngsters are getting more and more unreliable these days. I'm not here to try out for the lead role." Ning Xi started talking. "Oh? You're not here to try for the female lead? Then what are auditioning for?" the screenwriter asked with interest. "I'm here to try out for the supporting female lead, Meng Chang'e. As far as I know, you weren't able to find a suitable actress for the supporting lead during the last auditions." Ning Xi lifted her head before the screenwriter could respond to her words. The instant Ning Xi lifted her head, the surroundings turned quiet for 5 seconds. The unfriendly assistant director was awestruck. What he saw was a girl with full lips, white teeth, waist-long ebony hair, in a crimson dress. Her brilliance could not be suppressed by such a vibrant color, instead it helped enhance her beauty. She was just standing there calmly, yet it was almost as if she was standing in a forest of floating mist. She seemed like a fox spirit with 1,000 years of cultivation. That pair of mesmerizing eyes would make a person drop their guard and fall into that endless spring of beauty in just an instant. Although her cultivation was that of a spirit fox, she seemed like fairy who had never stepped on the ground. Her eyes held a lustrous depth. "What's your name?" As if they had been lost in a beautiful dream, many of the judges regained their senses only after director Guo Qischange spoke. "Ning Xi. Pub Future Ads." Director Guo spoke after exchanging glances with the assistant director, screenwriter, and film producer. "I have some recollection of you. You're one of Starlight's artists, right? You can go back to prepare, the supporting female lead is yours. You will be notified when filming starts." "Thank you, director, I will prepare well." Ning Xi bowed to express her gratitude. Ning Xi's target had always been the supporting female lead. She had been preparing this role for 3 months by trying to completely understand Meng Chang'e's character, making all the effort to impress the judges with just a single glance. Fortunately, she had succeeded despite some setbacks. Director Guo exclaimed after Ning Xi had left, "We looked all over for an actress, and the moment we stopped looking, we found the perfect one. Her qualifications are too poor despite being signed to Starlight Entertainment. With her acting record, I didn't even consider her for the female lead. though I had never imagined that she would be far more beautiful than in her pictures. Screenwriter Ye Linglong couldn't suppress his excitement either. Most importantly, her aura was on point, that gaze from before was too fitting. Meng Chang'e was a righteous female general before she became the downfall of the nation. She could be pretty and coquettish, yet she would maintain a pure demeanor and state of mind. She could never be vulgar. All the artists that came to audition before acted out brothel courtesans for me. I was fuming. Haha, don't get worked up, haven't we finally found the Chang'e we've been waiting for? At the same time, in B City, the First People's Hospital. The VIP hospital room that Little Bun was in was currently in a state of chaos. The little guy was huddled on the windowsill with bare feet. He was frustrated and screaming at the top of his lungs. No matter how the doctors and nurses tried to persuade him, he wouldn't come down. Liu Jingli was cajoling him like the most precious person in his heart, but it couldn't be helped that his efforts were completely ignored by the other. Liu Tingxiao had just been called back to his company, but with no other options left, Liu Jingli had to call him. Chapter 10, Little Bun suddenly goes on a rampage. Original and most updated translations are from Volari Translations. Brother, you're finally here. Your little treasure was just fine a while ago, but he suddenly started going on a rampage. What happened? Liu Tingxiao asked in a low voice. I don't know what happened either. After he woke up, he was searching everywhere for someone. I thought that he might be searching for Ning Xi, so I told him to stop looking. The pretty lady had already left. As soon as I finished talking, he started his rampage. Little treasure seems to like Ning Xi a lot, but it shouldn't be to the point where he would get this agitated by just hearing that she left. Also, it had been a long time since little treasure had shown such intense and turbulent emotions. After hearing what had happened, Liu Tingxiao walked straight towards his son. Seeing Liu Tingxiao come closer, the little guy immediately retreated backwards warily. His eyes were filled with caution and aversion. He wasn't going to stop, even for his own father. Liu Tingxiao stopped when he was 3 steps away from his son. He said in a calm and steady tone, when your second uncle told you that the lady had already left, that was exactly what he meant. There was nothing wrong with her health, so she has already left the hospital to go home. She didn't die. It's not like when your grandmother left and never came back, understand? It was perhaps only when facing his son that Liu Tingxiao would have such patience, having so much to say. Liu Jingli gaped, are you kidding me? I only said those 2 words, she left, and his mind made such a huge leap. Xiao Bao had personally seen Ning Xi fall down and had already experienced a big fright. Under such emotional turmoil, he couldn't be blamed for misunderstanding the situation. Little treasure briefly stopped screaming after hearing Liu Tingxiao's explanation. He refused to move while burying his head and curling up on the windowsill. Seeing this, Liu Tingxiao took out a slip of paper. She left this for you, are you going to look at it? Little treasure's body twitched once, as if a switch had been turned on. He quickly raised his head and opened his little arms, indicating that he wanted his father to hug him. Liu Jingli. The doctors and nurses at the scene. Everyone in the room had been put through the ringer to the point of breaking down, yet Liu Tingxiao managed to end the matter with a slip of paper. Liu Jingli had originally thought that asking Ning Xi for a note was entirely unnecessary, but now he was completely convinced. Liu Tingxiao carried his son to the sofa and sat down, then handed the paper slip to him. The little guy eagerly received it. He had learned to recognize words a long time ago, and could already read on his own. Darling, thank you for saving me, you're amazing XOXO. Looking at the words on the slip, and the heart drawn at the end of it, the little guy's eyes were sparkling. He even had a faint blush on his cheeks. Even though he tightened his lips reservedly, the corners of his mouth could not resist faintly quirking up. His demeanor was especially cute. Liu Jingli looked as if he had just seen a ghost. What the, was I just blinded? Our little treasure actually smiled. I can't even remember how long it's been since I last saw him smile. What exactly did Ning Xi write? Liu Jingli wanted to sneak a peek, but little treasure immediately hid it like it was a precious treasure. However, Liu Jingli's sharp eyes had already seen it. It was just a fairly ordinary note, yet it could make little treasure so happy. This Ning Xi was remarkable. Liu Tingxiao gazed warmly at his son without speaking. Pub Future Ads. After little treasure had woken up, Liu Tingxiao immediately brought him home. In addition, he postponed all his work at the company to stay with little treasure at home. At night, in Platinum Palace's Villa No. 8. The huge living room was icy cold. An adult and a child sat facing each other across the dining table with matching cold expressions. Liu Tingxiao, eat your food. Little treasure turned a deaf ear. Liu Tingxiao, I'm saying this for the last time. Little treasure didn't even twitch. Liu Tingxiao, do you think that this kind of childish hunger strike would work against me? Little treasure was like a meditating old monk, completely immersed in his own world, isolated from the outside world. The duo continued to confront one another. After 1 hour, Liu Tingxiao called Liu Jingli, send me Ning Xi's address. Okay, so this had proved that hunger strikes did work on him. Liu Jingli was extremely efficient as he immediately sent Ning Xi's exact address to his older brother's cell phone. Following that was a huge pile of gossip, which was completely ignored by Liu Tingxiao. This time, Liu Tingxiao didn't even need to say anything. The moment little treasure saw his father picking up his jacket and car keys, he immediately followed his father's every step. Liu Tingxiao helplessly picked up his son after a single glance at the little bun standing by his feet. There won't be a next time.